Erev Tov Chavrim, I'm Steve Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Starting to pull out of that sickness finally after 3 days. Anyway, they say what you do on New Year's Day is what you will do all year long. So we're going to try to start our New Year's broadcast out tomorrow. A little bit more on an upbeat note. So hopefully we maybe get into some prophetic insights, things like that. And because unfortunately, it's looking like the way the world is ending here in 2018, if that's any look to the future, it's not going to be good. Already this evening, we heard breaking news here coming out of Manchester, the Victoria Station there. They're showing that there has been a knife attack. Yeah, the guy said on there that as long as you keep bombing these countries, these type things will continue to happen. This is what the eyewitness that witnessed the knife attack there at the the Victoria Station there in Manchester, witnessed here just about an hour ago. So still don't know any much more details than that at this time. We'll be trying to update you later. That was from BBC reporting that particular story there. Also, several other things. One, this is a bit of good news. I just wanted to share this with you guys. I just love good news. There was a dog that had been trapped on the ice. He was dying of hypothermia, and a diver put on his suit, went out, swam out to that ice cap out there, busted through the ice until he got a hold of the dog, then swam back to shore with the dog. And as you'll be able to see, I'll kind of fast forward this on through here for you there, though. They got the dog out. The dog was suffering from hypothermia, but the dog is expected to fully recover. That's just so nice to see, when people care enough about even the life of an animal to risk their own lives to save an animal. That's just really, that ranks really high in my book. So I want to thank Kevin W. there on Twitter for posting that particular feed there. Now, of course, as we look at things that are going on over in Syria, this is one of those type situations that keeps Israel on edge, and that is a IL-76 cargo lifter, the YK-ATB, coming back from Tehran, Iran. And of course, they're saying on there that it was no doubt with many goodies on board. Geez, does it have things like that? Well, you can't necessarily say it's the case, though, because Syria and Iran are allies. Just because they have a cargo plane coming back doesn't mean that everything that's on there is going to be bad. It could be humanitarian supplies. But then again, it could be for weapons for, Hezbollah. It's hard to say which way that's going to turn out. But again, Israel's already making preparations for that as well. There's been some flybys by Israel too this evening. I'm not able to show that to you right now, but they were also monitoring the situation near Damascus, trying to get an idea themselves as to exactly what was being offloaded from those planes there. So yes, Israel was paying very close attention to that. Also, according to the Jerusalem Post here, they're reporting how the Iraqis came in and bombed a 2-story building. I don't know if it's going to pop up or not, but I do know what happened there. Killing 30 commanders of the ISIS terrorist organization, and they were taken out by the Iraqis. I guess that blew a heavy blow for those Western-backed nations that have sponsored the terrorist organization. But anyway, that was on the Jerusalem Post. They had brought that story out there, as well as we had gotten this one here from Haider Sumari, also speaking about that. F-16 jets belonging to the Iraqi Air Force leveled a 2-story house in Sosa, eastern Syria. At the time of the airstrike, more than 30 Daesh commanders were holding a meeting in the house, and as they put on there, it was an excellent job taking them all out. Now, let's move into some other issues. Everything's going to be pretty much regarding Syria. This one here kind of troubles me. Russia, Turkey have a decisive Syria peace roll, Putin says. I mean, somebody needs to help President Putin. Really, to think that Erdogan is going to be any help in bringing about peace inside of Syria? Is this for real? I mean, wait till you hear some more of the parts of the news here. I mean, I realize that President Putin is trying to garner an ally and pull away a NATO ally on his side. But he's got to remember, at the expense of Russian lives, the Turkish government has taken those Russian pilot was killed at the hands of the Turkish military when they shot him down with their own F-16. And now we can just trust Turkey to do anything. Well, I wouldn't trust them at all. And as we can see here already, the New York Times is reporting that the Syrian Kurds are feeling betrayed by the U.S. Ask Assad's government for protection. That's exactly right. They have asked President Bashar al-Assad of Syria to send in the military to protect them from who? None other than the Turkish fighters. It says Turkish-backed Syrian fighters gathered in the area of Sayar near Manbij, Syria on Friday, feeling betrayed by the United States and the Kurdish allies in Syria, asked the Syrian government on Friday to protect them from possible attack by Turkey. The request surprised some American officials and could help open the way for the forces of President Bashar al-Assad of Syria, backed by Russia and Iran, to start retaking the Kurdish-held part of the country near Turkey's border. All right, now, let me show you, though, what's going on, though. Jump back over to the tweets that I was retweeting here. I got two of them right here. Here's one by Ali Ozkak. Turkey sends new howitzers and Leopard tanks to Syria. All right? He's not even slowing down his barrage of military equipment. And this was here today on December 31st, moving in all this military equipment. Also, a friend of ours here, Abdallah Bozak, he shows the video footage of these howitzers going in. And again, he pointed out New Year's Eve, crossing into Syria at the Turkish border. It'll be one truck after another with howitzers and tanks, preparing for a war against the Kurds. So, what side is Russia going to take? If the Syrian government is sending in its military to help protect the Kurds up in the northern region of Manbij, will Russia side with Syria? Or will Russia allow the Turkish government, Erdogan, just to obliterate the Syrian military at their own whims? I've noticed that both sides, whether it be the U.S. or whether it be Russia, never stand up when it comes to Turkey. They're all afraid to take that stand and show a solidarity for Syria when it comes to Turkey. And that's been a consistent situation. Even here it says on here, on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, the Foreign Ministry Sergei Lavrov's statement for the media on the results of the Russian-Turkey negotiations on Syria in the interdepartmental format, Moscow, December 29, 2018, and it's all about working together to bring about peace in the region. Just doesn't look very good, if you ask me. Then we also have here RT, Trump's versus military, Mattis jabs presidential in a farewell message to the Pentagon employees. At least that's what people are kind of interpreting that as. I know that General Mattis believes that the United States military should have stayed. President Trump said he had made a vow to the American people to pull the military out. I think the U.S. military shouldn't have been there to begin with. In fact, if we hadn't been funding, along with Saudi Arabia and Israel, we wouldn't even have had a Syrian war. This would have been over a long time ago. But nonetheless, as I've said, and I've stated it before, I'll state it once again, to just up and pull completely out abruptly and allow the Kurds who you claim to be your ally, just abandon them, that puts them in harm's way. Do it with a little bit of intelligence. Bashar al-Assad is the president elected by the Syrian people. Work with the Syrian government to allow his forces to take up those positions, especially in the case of Israel. If you're worried about Iran taking up those positions, then work with the Syrian military and say, look, we're ready to pull out. You bring your military in, and as we pull out, all the way from Deir ez-Zor to Al-Tanf, all the way up, clear up to the northern regions of Manbij, as we pull out, you bring in your brigades. We want to see Syrian military brigades replacing our military forces willing to work with the Kurdish fighters there in order to protect the country. That's the way you should have done it. That's the way it should be done. And then that would also give Israel a little bit of a goodwill feeling that Iran is not the one replacing the U.S. troops as the U.S. troops move out. Because that's who would replace them. So think about it if you want to look at it from a logistical standpoint there. At any rate, I'm Steve Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Just a little short take of our broadcast this evening. Doing this live, of course, tomorrow, as I'm starting to feel a little bit better this afternoon. Hoping to really get seriously in there. We're going to try to cover several different videos there for New Year's Day. I hope you all have a safe New Year's Eve. Me, I normally sleep mine off. I've never been for one staying up all night. I don't drink, don't smoke, don't do any of those type of things anyway, so why waste the time? But anyway, for the rest of you that do go out and do whatever you may do, have a safe New Year's Eve, and maybe definitely don't be drinking and don't be driving. I used to always say, if they're going to have the drinking, that's always kind of an odd thing to me as well. Think about it. You know, they say that if you drink and drive, you could end up, you get a DUI, you could end up going to prison for driving under the influence. But I thought to myself, why do we have bars in where people can drive to? Maybe they should pass a law that, or a law that is a busing law for bars. If you want to go to a bar to drink, then the bar should be responsible for having a busing law to where you are bused to that bar, and when you're done, they have to bus you home. We'd have a lot less DUIs, wouldn't we? That's something to think about for those New Year's Eve festivities that so many people like to do. I'm Steve Ben-Nun with Israeli News Live. Erev Tov.